welcome to the 1 to 11 podcast. So this is the podcast that myself, Paul, and John, my brother, Johnny, have taken some time and really tried to get the benefit of the coronavirus lockdown measures to take some time and create some 1 to 11s of subjects we were passionate about. And we've done some other ones in terms of, Abramovich's Chelsea, the Italian football in the 1990s. And this was one that we found it very hard to come up with a title, but we kind of got to players we loved, but we can't really tell you why. So we're going to try and tell you why. Kind of unrequited love. Players you shouldn't like, but you do.
It's not that you shouldn't like them, but I guess in terms of football echelons, it's like there's the Balon D'or winners. There's the guys who are always in the the player of the year, and then there's these guys who you just love. And
I think that they may not be. Yeah, they're not necessarily we're not creating the best team of all time. We're just creating a team of players we liked. They're not necessarily underappreciated. Some of the people I've got in my 11 are very appreciated.
Yeah,
but they're I think the best thing for us to do is let's go into it. So I've gone with a 4-4-2 because I'm British, and as a British person, I'm resistant to change.
I've gone with a 4-4-2 just because it's easiest.
Yeah. So I'd like to start, John, by telling you my goalkeeper for this. So in terms of the passion project that this is, the goalkeeper I've got for this is someone who has no real redeeming features as a human being.
Okay.
Wasn't necessarily the best technically, but for some reason, I just love the man. And that is Jens Lehmann.
I considered Jens because I love a daft bastard, and he's a daft bastard.
He could wind people up. Whenever he played Chelsea with Drogba, you knew they'd have an argument.
Yeah.
If there was a situation where he could be a bastard, he was a bastard. And also, in terms of, he was also very successful.
Yeah.
So he's one of those players that he was never going to be World Goalkeeper of the Year. He won the Premier League. He played in a Champions League final. Got sent off in the Champions League final.
He played 14 minutes of a Champions League final.
That's kind of I want to hate you because I wanted Arsenal to win that Champions League final. When it comes to the Champions League, in my life, you always go for Britain unless it's Liverpool. And I love that man. And there's no real, he'd never have played for. I wouldn't have ever wanted him to join any of the teams. I wouldn't want him to play for Man United. I'd have hated it. I'd hate the idea of him being English and him playing for the English national team. But I found myself rooting for him because he's just a bit of an arsehole, and I love that.
He was the best kind of arsehole. He was a clown.
Yeah, very much so.
Everything had a sort of element of pantomime about him, and I loved. I didn't pick Jens, but I've gone for someone from the same age. I've gone with Canizares.
Santiago Canizares, yeah, who was a very, very high quality goalkeeper. Lost the Champions League final twice. Got replaced at Real Madrid by a club legend.
Yeah,
because he got injured, never got his place back. Got replaced by him with the Spanish national team.
The Spain team. He sort of he was there with teams before he won the league, I think, with Valencia, didn't he?
He won the Champions League with Real Madrid, I'm sure. But I'm sure they won it in '98 when Mijatovic scored for them.
I'm I'm gonna have to look him up, but he was also a bit of a pantomime goalkeeper. Like
The bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, he quit to become a rally driver. Peter Schmeichel said that he thought Canizares was the finest goalkeeper in world football, and I thought, well, that's a pretty cool thing to have. But yeah, no, he missed the Champions League final because they played Ilgner. He then went to Valencia.
He also won a gold medal in 1992 and didn't play.
Yeah,
it's just he was such good quality
to a lot of success. He retired in 2008. Remember what happened in 2008? Spain won the
European Championship.
As soon as he was no longer in a team, they became insanely successful. And yeah, I kind of like that. There's no joy in players like Alisson and
Ederson,
and these clinically brilliant goalkeepers. Casillas, in his later stage, in his early days, when he would get 4 saves and everything else would go in. I love that about him, but it doesn't matter because for this team, I'm gonna secede to Jens Lehmann because I just loved watching him, and I always sort of secretly, if ever he'd have it would have been announced he'd joined Leeds, I'd have been like, oh no, but secretly I'd have been like, actually, do you know what? I think we'll do all right now.
Yeah, I think he's someone who would have fitted in quite well with Leeds.
And I think, as well, he was just a character, and I think you need that in the dressing room.
I agree. I very much agree. So, in front of Jens Lehmann, looking at the first centre-back I've got here, Breda Hangeland.
I didn't think of Breda Hangeland, but he was brilliant.
Yeah, the Fulham team that got to the Europa League final.
Yeah.
The Fulham team that beat Juventus. The Crystal Palace team, the Fulham team that almost got relegated. The Crystal Palace team that almost got relegated. Basically, anything that kind of smells a bit Roy Hodgson, he was brilliant.
Yeah. But that's what he was. He was a very sturdy, if unspectacular, defender.
And I loved him. I mean, also, one of the things we're going to do in the future is players who are great in Football Manager, Championship Manager.
Yeah.
Love the man in that. And I kind of got the soft spot from there. I think he was so unspectacular, but I loved him.
Yeah. And I guess he came in a time, he was so Hodgson because he
came from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
He was solid as a shit house.
And
no nonsense.
No nonsense. And he could play a bit, but he wasn't.
He wasn't your ball playing centre back of now.
No,
he wasn't Rio Ferdinand. He wasn't Vincent Kompany. He wasn't.
No, but who is? But like
those two.
But yeah, there's a reason he played for Fulham and not Chelsea, I guess.
Yeah,
but
he's someone I really liked. I enjoyed watching him. He played the game smartly.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think of Breda Hangeland, but I have one of my centre backs is a fellow Scandinavian. He's Olof Mellberg.
Oh, great shout! Aston Villa legend.
Yeah, from when Villa would, when it was like a 4-year period.
The Martin O'Neill, the early days of Randy Lerner.
Yeah, and he was brilliant. And basically, he left Villa, and they never really ever replaced him. And
He went to Juventus on a free, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean it was Juventus after
Calciopoli,
yeah, Calciopoli. So but he brought them up. But yeah, I always felt he deserved more praise, I think. And once again, he was just I think there's something, it's great watching Rio Ferdinand bring it out from the back, and it's great. But sometimes it's just great watching a great defender defend, and he did that, and he made it look really, really easy.
Do you know what? I think that's a good shout.
Okay, so who have you got next to Hangeland?
Philippe Albert.
Oh, I've got Philippe Albert. Oh, that's a great shout. Do you know what my favourite thing at the moment is? One of the few things I'm really liking about lockdown is the classic match of the days on a Saturday night. And because it's Shearer, there seems to be a lot of Newcastle whenever I turn on. And I watched the Man U 0, Newcastle 5. Yeah, Newcastle at home. But yeah, the one where he chips.
He just embarrasses Schmeichel.
And it was impudent. It was beautiful.
And just, an attack-minded centre-back.
Yeah, with a wonderful moustache.
Oh, yeah, an attack-minded centre-back who looked like your postman.
He's got to be in for that description.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I always felt for him because he played with some really average defenders.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're looking at Darren Peacock,
Beresford,
Venison,
Barton. There was some
Warren Barton,
and they were Peacock aside, they were all quite good at bombing on. But yeah, you often did feel like it was going to be left 2-on-2 at the back at the very least.
Well, he was just a player that I think kind of gets forgotten because they didn't win anything.
Yeah, probably true. Yeah,
and he played for Belgium when they weren't very good.
Yes. Quite frankly, yeah, it's it was a bit of
he's kind of a victim of his own not success.
Yeah. But once again, it goes back to Canizares. He was always on the periphery of success. And one of my ones later is the king of that. And that's what I love. I love people who are nearly there or whatever. And that I forget. Do you know what? I listened to Quickly Kevin Will He Score podcast, which is Josh Widdicombe's 90s one, and they were talking to who is it? Darren Huckabee. I'm going for them all. It's really good. You should check him out. After this.
Yes, after this.
Yeah, he was on about because he was there when they blew the lead. It's the Keegan. I would love it, but very few other teams have made me want to watch Sky on a Monday night more than that Newcastle team.
They were the only time, as a young Man United fan, you grew up, and when I was growing up, and literally my team was just winning league after league after league after league after trophy after trophy after trophy, and it was great. That's what's made now so disappointing. But
I'd hate to be sixth in the league, Paul. Sixth in the Premier League.
Yeah, if I suppose it's different. You went from being within 6 years of being in a Champions League semi-final to broke.
League One.
Yeah, it's different from a Champions League win to we might not get in the Champions League. I get that. I ain't going to get any sympathy here.
No.
But for me, that Newcastle team was the first kind of threat. The first threat was a man. This is a team that we're not going to win the league this year.
Yeah, well, they were going to run away with it, weren't they? And they just couldn't hold on to it enough. But yeah, I think it's forgotten how good Philippe Albert was. My other centre back, I'm going to guess you will not have thought of, but I really loved him.
Is it Igor Stimac?
It's not Igor Stimac, although.
Well, that's fine.
Dean Richards.
Dean Richards. Ruined by Spurs. He
was an absolutely not ruined by Spurs. He just played for a bad Spurs team, but he was a wonderful player at Southampton. And back in those days, sort of, if you were half decent, the rumor was that Leeds were going to throw some money at you, and you were going to come over our way. And then he went to Tottenham, and I was gutted. And he was still all right at Tottenham. You know, him and Ledley King, a very young Ledley King, must have been the most injury-prone centre-back pairing in the world.
With a team that also had Jamie Redknapp and Darren Anderson.
Exactly.
Yes. That was a physio that earned their money.
Yeah, you had to pay him. He had to be your most highest paid member of staff. But yeah, I love Dean Richards, and of course, no longer with us.
Yeah, 36 years old. He's died almost 10 years ago.
It's yeah, and sort of, I think, forgotten somewhat, but he for a 2-year period, I thought he was just the most wonderful defender I'd ever seen, and I'd have loved him at Leeds. I thought him and Woodgate would have been, once again, injury prone, but would have been just wonderful. And bizarrely, he was the first person I thought of on this whole list. I would probably suggest, compared to Mellberg, Albert, and whatever, probably not the best of them, but as well, when did he only got 4 under-21 caps, had to retire early because of he was getting dizzy spells, wasn't he? And it was a brain hemorrhage. And it's just a really, really sad story. But I just wanted to mention Dean Richards because I thought he was a wonderful player. But in terms of this team, if I was to pick one of the two, I'd pick Mellberg.
And do you know what? I think he's a great shout. I'll give you some other players that I thought of, and actually, it's interesting you go with Dean Richards because they were linked to kind of a Southampton connection. Francis Benali.
I love Benali as a player. I love him as a story now since then, because he's lived a life, hasn't he?
Just a bit.
Yeah, and it's a sad time because actually, when I look back to, we're going on to Chat Manager on a different episode, but I think at one point I had a back four of Richards, Benali and the Dutch Rixen.
Fernando Rixen. Another really sad case.
Another really sad case.
That Football Manager player is going to be a right bring down, isn't it?
I don't think none of them will make it on because there's some more better stories. But yeah,
that's a bad turn of phrase, John, isn't it?
What's that? Sorry?
None of them will make it.
God, fucking hell. Apologies. None of them will make the first 11. But yeah, I feel like I think Dean Richards, there's other players, much missed. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to succeed Albert for Melberg.
So who Melberg and
that'd be Melberg and Hengeland.
Okay, I'd have gone Melberg and Albert.
Yeah, I'm happy either way. For me, Melberg takes priority because he was a wonderful, wonderful player. And Aston Villa had this amazing, like Martin Laus.
Yeah,
great player.
Great player. Very injury prone though. But yeah. So yeah, okay, we'll go with Lehmann. And then we've got Melberg and Albert. Okay, so do you want to go the right back?
The right back I had was Michael Richards. I really wanted that man to succeed, despite the fact that he played for City.
Yeah,
he kind of burst onto the scene as a 17-year-old, didn't he? And that header,
swearing on Match of the Day.
Yeah, it's great, and just he was someone I really wanted when he came into the England team. It looked like he was going to be he was always going to have a place in this emerging Man City side that was going to become this leviathan with oil money. And he just fell out of favour. You look at him like Michael Johnson as well.
Yeah.
You think of what could have been with that team.
Well, I think we'll do a what could have been 11, and Michael Johnson would be the captain of that. But yeah, his body just let him down, didn't it? And I think I wonder mentally if he was strong enough to come back from it, because I think possibly by the end he was just happy to take a paycheck at Villa.
If you'd have paid me 35 grand a week, sorry, I don't even know that. I'm guessing like 35. You'd have paid me a high sum of money to go to Bodymore Heath and ride a bike. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah, because I remember his debut for, I think it was against Germany, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was.
And he was electric. Absolutely electric.
I thought we had the English Cafu.
Yeah. And actually, like, late on his career, he got bulkier. You know what I mean? Not heavy, but built, ripped. And I think it did cost him, what was his electric pace. That I think he lost it. And but for the 2 years, he was emerging. I loved him.
Yeah, and for me, he just, I was desperate for him to succeed, because I thought he's either going to be this amazing elite centre back that we could have for England for the next 10 years. He was going to be the replacement for Rio Ferdinand. Now his legs were going. He was going to be this. He could be anything. He was going to be the English Maldini, the English Cafu. He was going to be everything.
The thing is, he had the potential to be any of that. Yeah. He 13 England caps. It's
sad, isn't it?
I love the fact he went to play out in Italy. I think more English players should do that.
Well, we're seeing it now, aren't we? In terms of Jadon Sancho's, Reece Oxford, Ademola Lookman, Xavier Amici.
Yeah. Yeah, he also played. I mean, I saw him. I went to see the Olympic squad in 2012. and just saw him in gigs, and but yeah, it was. He's a disappointing end of the career, but for a while he was superb. But I'd go with someone who saw him leave Man City. Effectively, I went, but for about 4 years, I went with Bakary Sagna.
Too successful in my eyes, Bakary Sagna.
He was at Arsenal for a long while, so there's no success there.
He just came in at the end of success there. But
yeah, I just thought he was a wonderful player, and like he was. So yeah, but actually, do you know what? I'm not even going to argue it. Bakary, Michael Richardson.
I love that.
I wanted him. I was when he burst on. I thought he was superb, and I can't explain because I'm not a City fan. But I really, for England, I wanted him to become amazing. So I did really, so yeah, just a shame.
Yeah.
Shall I leave and left? Shall I go left back?
Yeah, tell me who you've got.
I've got someone who was insanely successful on international stage, but I always felt sorry for him because people seem to think he was shit, and I thought he was brilliant.
Who have we got here?
So do you want to have a guess? Capdevila.
Juan Capdevila.
And everyone always said that the Spanish team was only you can only be as good as your worst player, and their worst player is Juan Capdevila.
Yes,
and probably it's true, that because it was a wonderful Spain team. But he also played for a wonderful Villarreal team.
He did,
and
he really, really did.
And being a football hipster back then, I was all in on the Yellow Submarine. And I just had to put a player from that team in my 11.
Me too. I think basically this is the football hipster love story 11.
I don't think it is, because I think if you had football hipsters, you probably have Albert. You wouldn't have Laban.
You wouldn't. You might have Breda Hangeland because he's your kind of. He's a throwback.
Yeah. Well, that Fulham team made people believe. And that win over Juve, it was brilliant and all that.
Glass half Fulham.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. That Villarreal team played 4-4-2. They played it like no team I've ever seen play 4-4-2 in my life. And that's probably because of the midfield. But I just think Juan Capdevila always gets a short shift for me because I think people seem to put it out that he was rubbish. And I don't agree with that at all. And I see it so often. Still, it's been what 12 years.
You don't win what he won by being a bad player.
Exactly. And it didn't help that he was replaced by
Jordi Alba.
Who is a stunning, phenomenal player. But yeah, it's hard to feel sorry for a World Cup winner, but I feel sorry for him.
No, I fully understand that. I fully understand that. He's I get it. The player I went for was someone who lost the World Cup to Juan Capdevila. It was Gio von Bronckhorst.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was a player who he played for good teams, but I think also I think we had the same feeling. Gio van Bronckhorst was someone who I felt was a great player, but didn't get the credit for playing in good teams. The Rangers team of the late
90s. Not 90s. Yeah. The late 2000s.
Yes, I thought he was. I thought he was wonderful.
And he was a great player for them. I thought he was good for Arsenal. I have heard people saying, "Oh, why did Barcelona buy him?" Because he was a good player.
Yeah, again, it's hard to feel he won the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to feel sorry for somebody who's won the Premier League, the FA Cup, La Liga, the Champions League, the Scottish Premier League, the Scottish Cup, the Scottish League Cup, all these different things. But he's someone who, like, if I went to most football fans and asked them to name the Champions League winning squad of 2005, that Barca team that beat Arsenal, you wouldn't remember him.
No.
You wouldn't remember he was there. You remember the Arsenal team
for him. I mean, because Belletti scored, but yeah.
Well, Belletti was a right back, wasn't he? He came to Chelsea as a right back.
Yeah. I know, but you'd remember Belletti in that squad before you remember Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
quite happy to go with Juan Capdevila though, because I think he's.
Should we say he's probably won less.
He's won the biggest tournament in football.
He's won the biggest tournament in football.
But I think, he played for great teams, but didn't get the respect for playing in great teams. And always, he was. God, just imagine how good they'd be if they had a world-class left back. They didn't need a world-class left back. They had very high quality. They had a great left back.
They had a great left back. But for some reason it seems easy to punch down on Capdevila. I don't like that. So, should we go right midfield?
Steve McManaman. We talked about underappreciated England players, and I brought up Steve McManaman there. But he's someone who played for Liverpool. I'm a United fan. Played for City. I'm a United fan. Played for Real Madrid and knocked us out the Champions League with him in the team. I'm a United fan. When I grew up, David Beckham was my idol, and he was the guy who could take him out the team. But I couldn't hate him because I knew how good a player he was, and he was a really pasty white guy with this mop of bright hair.
Yeah.
He was like the anti-Beckham.
He made dribbling look so easy.
Yes.
And
I also loved him for Spanish commentators trying to say his name.
McManaman, yeah.
Manama.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? That's good. Because I picked someone for the exact opposite reasons. In the terms of this guy, he surprised you with just how slow he was.
Andy Reid?
No. Juan Valeron.
Juan Valeron. I'm not allowing two Spanish football hipster references back to back. I'm calling in my Spanish football hipster veto card.
But this was before Spain were good.
Put down your copy of La Roja. Except the Englishman who went there. You lose this one. Juan Valeron was a great player. Deportivo.
Yeah. Great
player. No. You're not allowed two Spanish hipster types in a row.
Oh, I'm gutted because he was the one player I really wanted in.
I'm calling the Spanish hipster veto card.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. Fair. I'll grant that because I really do love Steve McManaman, and I'm going to throw my hipster card out later.
Oh, me too. So, if I then go into centre mid,
yeah.
Or do you want to go left wing?
Should we go left wing? Yeah.
You tell me who you've got first.
Okay. Can you remember what happened on the 31st of August, 1997?
Princess Diana died.
She did. And
Pub Quiz King.
what?
Pub Quiz King.
So, of course, all the TV coverage was dedicated to the news of Diana. You know, it was a big deal for a lot of people. And the only break from that was Channel 4, who showed an Italian football game. And it was quite an important game because it was Inter Milan, and it was the debut of Il Fenomeno, Ronaldo.
I know where you're going, and I don't like this at all. I think you're throwing out the football hipster card again, and you're doing it in disguise.
Hipster card.
You've gone for the slowest footballer alive, haven't you? You've
He
gone for a man
was
who
lazy. He wasn't slow. He was lazy. El Phenomenon didn't have a great game, so on they brought Alvaro Recoba for his debut. He scored 2 beauties. It was the most the amazing thing I'd seen. It blew my young mind, and it sort of, I was then literally, if I'd have been old enough, I'd have had a straggly beard and an FC St. Pauli shirt. That was the birth of my football hipsterdom. And
I think for Recoba as well, I agree with you. Recoba was just a player that you had to love, because just the free kicks for me, I just FIFA 03, where you had the free kicks where you basically just spam the ball as much as possible, put it in the opposite corner. Beckham, Roberto Carlos, or Alvaro Recoba, you were guaranteed a goal if you got a free kick anywhere within 30 yards of the goal.
Yeah.
And if you had Recoba and Beckham in the same team, my God.
That was the first 2 players I bought in every career. Mm-hmm. And and I don't care who you've got. I'm
You're bringing in your Spanish hipster veto. And you know what? For Alvaro Recoba, I'm happy to admit I'm wrong here.
So who have you got?
Yannick Bolasie.
I love Yannick Bolasie, but he's too effective for this list.
Yeah, also, just a player I love to watch.
He was only ever good
against Liverpool when they were losing against them.
That's what I mean. But he spent a lot of his time outside the top league, and I mean I can't have it against him for being inconsistent and then pick Recoba. So although Recoba was very good for a year out on loan. I can't remember who it was with.
Torino.
Yeah, he was superb, and that's why Moratti brought him back and made him the highest paid player in the world. But yeah, I'm gonna throw my hipster. I'm gonna slap you with my copy of the Blizzard. And
you know what? I will take my plant-based diets in the face, and I'll have my kale smoothie and admit I'm wrong.
Okay, cool. So, because I imagine centre midfield, you probably got some choice picks here.
One of them is I'm gonna call out the centre mid first because I know you won't like it. The first one I have is Michael Carrick. For the same reason.
Well, I don't. I'm not a Carrick fan, but I can understand why people like him because he's effective. But he's a sort of player I hate.
I loved him because there was no reason he made a team better. He didn't appear to do anything other than just pass the ball sideways.
Yeah.
Much like Joe Allen, Jordan Henderson. They don't seem to do anything other than just pass the ball fucking sideways. Well, Michael Carrick, and this is where I'm calling in the team I support card. We should really start naming some of these cards and using them on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
Yeah,
the new features of football hipster card and the it's my team so I win card.
yeah.
So that's where we end up every time with Michael Carrick and David Batty in midfield. I wanted Michael Carrick because he made teams better. That Spurs team in the early 2000s, when he arrived there from West Ham, he just made that team better. Man United went from a team that were getting destroyed by Arsenal. We spent 18 million quid on him, and suddenly we just become a title-winning machine again. We become the best team in Europe. We get to 2 Champions League finals. And I know there's other features of this. I know that we had the best player in the world at that time in Ronaldo. I get it. But he just made everyone else more effective. And I loved him. So if it was a team of players I loved, but really I can't tell you why, Michael Carrick, because I don't know what he did. He wasn't quick. He didn't pass that well. He just made teams better.
Okay. Well, let's Do you want to tell me your other one?
Juan Roman Riquelme.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
That's my football hipster card on the table.
It's fair enough. I love him.
And I think also those two would play well together.
They would. So Juan Riquelme, the Argentina team of 2008, 2010, 2006, 2010 were just described as Juan Riquelme plus 10. Bizarrely, he wasn't picked earlier when Bielsa just, I don't think, trusted him. I guess his work rate wasn't enough.
No, he was the Argentinian Recoba.
Yeah.
We just need to put Berbatov up front now, and we've got the lazy 11.
Well, we should come up with one of them. The anti-work rate 11. But I don't know how you pick a goalkeeper for that. But yeah, I did love Riquelme. He just, once again, we're going back to Villarreal, but they were just a great team. That should have. They always seem to get tripped up by Arsenal. It seemed in the Champions League.
Yeah, that could have been the Villarreal Barcelona final we could have watched.
Yeah. Because I lived with an Arsenal fan from 2006 to 2011. Various Arsenal fans, and it always seemed to be Villarreal in the Champions League. And it was a very good Arsenal team. But yeah, it's just a shame that they didn't get any further, because it would have been nice to have seen them get some recognition. Did you want to hear mine? Mine's
hit me.
So, firstly, my choice is players who are on periphery to success, and no one screams that more than Michael Ballack for ages.
I'm gonna go on Google now, and I'm gonna bring up Michael Ballack's honours.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Michael Ballack was such a successful player. He was selected by Pele as one of FIFA's 100 greatest living players.
Yeah.
Honours.
Just remember, it's 2002. He's just lost the Champions League final. You know the Zidane volley? Who's the player marking him?
Michael Ballack.
Yeah. So he's just lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid, arguably one of the greatest goals of all time. But still, it's Real Madrid. So that weekend following, he loses the league on the final day to Bayern Munich, who he then goes and joins. And you think, how can someone get any worse? And in the semi-final of the World Cup, he gets a yellow card, pulls him out of the final, and the Germans go and lose without him. to a pretty poor Brazilian team. Let's not kid. And you do feel if they'd have had a Ballack in midfield.
No, I'm going to say I'm going to give some offence to that poor Brazil team. A team that had Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Cafu.
Oh yeah. They also
all right. They had Kleberson. I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
Kleberson, their defensive midfielder for that tournament.
Gilberto Silva. Juninho,
the Middlesbrough Juninho.
Great player.
Great player, not defensive midfielder. I will also say their centre back was Roque Jr.
Hat trick Leeds United legend.
2 goals. We lost 3-2 because he couldn't defend.
Not that you hold a grudge.
But yeah, as well, it was 2 Khan errors in the final as well. Was the difference between? I mean, Ronaldo was very good.
But that was a Khan who'd been just a brick wall and the goalkeeper the entire tournament leading up to that.
And just had a bad game. But
yeah.
He then at Bayern he wins leagues, but he's always second best in the Champions League. And at Chelsea he doesn't settle in first because Mourinho doesn't want him. He's a player that's bought for him by Abramovich, so it takes him 2 years to settle there. But if he'd been quick, he'd have been the best player in the world for 4 years.
I agree.
He had everything. Work rate, he had touch, he had technique. He could brilliant on the volley, could header the ball, beautifully. He was just brilliant.
I'm happy to lose Carrick for Ballack.
Okay, my other one was Stefan Effenberg.
Get fucked.
And I'm already to say I'm going to have him dropped. I just love him because he's a dick.
Yeah.
But we'll stick him in the dicks episode because quite clearly, he's a massive one.
100%.
So yeah. So we'll have a midfield of Ballack and Riquelme. And we'll grow. Well, you've already got a goatee. We'll grow goatees, and you can read my blizzards.
That sounds great.
Actually, I do. If you don't subscribe to the Blizzard, do it. It's really good.
Other magazines are available.
But yeah, no, I just like them. I just like their model.
Fair enough.
It's to support journalists. Go for them because they're having tough times at the moment. So who you got up front?
In the box, Red John.
Who you got up front?
The first one, I see it a bit like Michael Richards. Andy Carroll.
Get fucked.
I'm going to give you some more detail for this is personal. He slept with my wife. No, he didn't sleep with my wife. Andy Carroll.
I assume he got injured when he did.
Pulled a hammy.
Yeah.
I remember going to see England play France at Wembley. It was a friendly.
I remember watching that game. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember being so unexcited that Andy Carroll was going to be playing up front. I'm like, oh, great. I can't wait to see Andy Carroll represent England. He was amazing. He was unbeatable in the air. He had a rocket of a left foot. He just looked like this. He looked like football Jesus with his long hair. And I thought, this man's going to be that attacking threat for England for the next 10 years. And he just kept getting injured and would come in. And I remember he went to West Ham, came into the West Ham team, scored that amazing bicycle kick, and he's back and now he's fluffy.
Yeah.
He's someone I desperately wanted to do well, despite the fact that he played for Newcastle, Liverpool and West Ham, which is the career trajectory of most footballers I hate.
he in the end he became a very West Ham player. It was a player who had promise in his early days, but had long been washed up. And yeah, so who he got next to
someone who's
Carroll?
a bit more higher quality, and I think somebody who just got such a bad rep when he moved to one club that people forget just how good this man was. Fernando Torres.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't care that he wasn't, a 400 goal. He wasn't Messi when he went to Chelsea.
Yeah, it wasn't Fernando Torres though, was it? That was the issue.
No, he wasn't Fernando Torres. You're right, but at the same time, that's somebody who has kind of had this reputation of kind of he wasn't what he could have been. And you're thinking, well, this is a man who got 110 caps for his country, won the European Championships, won the World Cup. In terms of what he's done, he's won nearly everything. He's won nearly everything other than the Premier League.
Yeah.
And he's just someone who I feel didn't get much love.
I think the Liverpool fans never forgave him for leaving. Chelsea fans never loved him because he wasn't the player they expected. He cost so much money. And I think as well, he was replaced at Liverpool by Suarez, who they fell in love with. So yeah, it is hard, really hard for him. But I've gone. So my first forward, David Hirst. I loved him.
Oh,
Sheffield Wednesday.
I didn't realise when we started doing this how much of a filthy hipster you are.
Oh come on, it's not a hipster to love David Hirst.
If I sent you a link on eBay to a Sheffield Wednesday shirt.
Oh, I'd hate it. I mean, I'm a Leeds fan. I hate Wednesday, but he was in the formative years of my football fandom. He was so exciting. Plus, when you're like what, 11 years old. You're not even that old. They're probably 8. And you can watch a bloke hit the ball that hard. It's really exciting.
Oh,
always injured, very similar, and ended up sort of went to Southampton, wasn't as good, and once again never really, like he should have been at, the reason Man United bought Cantona was because they couldn't get Hirst.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, really.
Yeah,
and you think about it, Man United paid 1.2 million for.
Let's not go into that.
But that's after we got turned down for we offered the Owls £3 million for David Hirst. Yeah.
Yep. And they turned it down.
Yeah.
And next to Hirst, someone very similar to him, I've gone Ariel Ortega.
Not a striker, not a forward.
I know, but I had him. But basically, I wanted him originally at white midfield, but I couldn't fit him in because I really, really wanted Valo on, and I thought him just off the front would be joyous. He doesn't fit into a 4-4-2.
So then he can't play in the team. I will give you an offer.
Okay.
In old-fashioned, horrible 80s game show, you've got David Hirst. David Hirst is safe.
Okay.
Fernando Torres or Ariel Ortega. If you want Ariel Ortega, put him in midfield. But you got to get rid of Riquelme. You can't have them both.
Well, he wasn't mid. He was a.
I'm sorry. This is like when you were.
Your choice.
Sorry.
So I'm very happy to have Torres in. Carroll can go fuck himself. I'm not having Carroll in my team.
That's fine. Then David Hirst over Andy Carroll for the grit. Ariel Ortega, absolutely not. No.
I'm not having. I couldn't really. I love that Ortega over McManaman, but plus I like the fact that McManaman's now our first two-time entrant into our team.
We should tally. We should tally and give an end of season, like a yearly award.
End of series, end of series things for most nominations. Although, seeing as one of the episodes is Bastards, you might not be that pleased to be on there. So, okay, how does this sound for a lineup of players you loved but were never?
You would players you loved, but you wouldn't tell people you did.
No, I tell people I love Capdevila all the time. So, Lehmann, in front of him, Melberg, Albert, Michael Richards, Capdevila. In front of them, McManaman, Rickover, Ballack, Riquelme.
Yeah.
And in front of them, Fernando Torres, David Hurst.
I think that's fair, yeah.
Cool.
That keeps everybody happy. The casual fan, the hipster fan,
yeah,
the Yorkshireman.
I was going, as you keep saying, these is personal choices.
Absolutely. If you don't like it, sod off.
No, if you don't like it, get in touch and say,
yes,
you're a hipster. Why have you got Capdevila in there? I'd much rather get in touch, and we'd love to get you on.
And for enough money, we'll get you off.
I mean that is the top level on our
Patreon.
On our Patreon is a hand job.
Yeah, it's at that price the Patreon becomes an OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh, don't tempt us. So yeah, but once again, if there's a team you want to put out there, get in touch. That's what we're here for. This is to keep us sane in lockdown. If you're wanting to get involved, please. We'd love to talk to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
it's one of those things where we're definitely interested in people's opinions. So if there's a player that I realise we've given you a vague set of criteria of we like them, but you can't have Ariel Ortega. Let us know who you feel falls into this incredibly specific, vague criteria, and we'll let you know if it's just an utter no, like
Andy Carroll,
Ariel Ortega.
As well, we're gonna as well do some little shorter episodes as we go on, as we talk about sort of what I guess is the sliding door moments in Premier League history, in football history, and just how we how we saw them and stuff like that. So please like and subscribe, give us a good review on YouTube and on whatever podcast platform you're listening on,
and tell other people
because this is new, but yeah, we want to hear from you. So until we are back with our next one is chat manager.
Absolutely, the 1 to 11 of
players. Football manager.
Football management simulation games.
Yeah.
But just play the 1 to 11 of the players we loved on those.
Yeah. But until then, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.